You know, when I first read the description about enterprise facilitation, I said to myself, no way. You know, this really can't be real. And then I started reading about the successes. 9 out of 10 businesses started using this model are successful. Let me tell you a little story about my history. I'm a great cabinet maker. I'm proud of what I do. I'm really good at selling what I do. I'm awful at balancing my checkbook. I'm originally from a small town south of Buffalo, New York called East Aurora. It's the home of Fisher-Price Toys and the Roycroft Arts and Crafts community. So when I was 16, I went and apprenticed in a cabinet shop owned by my scoutmaster. At that time, they ran a small gallery in an old 1890s schoolhouse that represented 35 local artists. So at that young age, they threw me into the gallery to try and kind of filter customers coming in, you know, the looky-loos I would go deal with. And so they taught me kind of the patter of the business and how to deal with customers during my training as a cabinet maker. So not only did I get this unique and really special talent from these gentlemen, added on top of that was some business savvy and some marketing savvy. Graduating college, I had gone for a degree in biology and recombinant gene technology, and I got out of school and realized, God, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to go create Terminator genes in plants so that they can sell seeds to third world countries that need to be purchased every year. And I almost wanted to pull my hair out that I had all this knowledge of stuff to do, and there was really not much good I could do with it. The fact that I had the training in a trade was something that my mother made sure I had, and the other thing she made sure we got, my brother and I both, was an education. So here I've got this training as a cabinet maker, and I've got this education working in the world of microbiology. And I can't tell you how many times sitting in the gallery working with a potential client at the cabinet shop, I would get in discussions with people, and here they would think that I'm just a simple cabinet maker, and the discussion would jump into the world of the political, or the world of the economic, and their eyes would open up and they would go, my God, what are you doing here? And the real simple answer is I loved what I was doing. I loved the interaction with people. I loved the people that I worked with in the shop, and I loved the skills that I had picked up in the shop. I started my own business when I was 23. I stumbled and fell a few times. I picked myself back up each time and kept moving. And 13 years later, still run a successful small cabinet shop. Through that time, I helped some of my friends who wanted to open businesses get started. I'm not a business development professional. I did it because I knew I needed help and there wasn't any there when I started my business. So I thought if I could spend a couple hours helping someone out, you know, more the better. About 10 years later, when I had opened up my own business and was basically working in the shop by myself, I was really disenchanted. And I was sitting at the breakfast table one morning with a couple friends, and it hit me. It wasn't that I loved what I was doing, it was that I loved who I did it with. And that's why the cabinet shop in East Aurora really held my attention, and that's why my small business was faltering. So I went out and I got involved in the community. I started helping out with local arts and culture agencies. I volunteered to do construction at the youth center. I just got involved in the community because the success of my community really was going to be the success of my business. I helped a couple friends over the past few years start small business, and about a year and a half ago, my wife and I had our first child. Where we were living wasn't near any one of our families, and we decided that we wanted our daughter to be growing up around family. It's a support system that's just so important. So we had choices of all over the country. We made a list: South Beach, New Jersey, Connecticut, both the other coast, San Francisco, Nevada, and the Columbia Gorge. When we made the short list and looked at the quality of life, nothing equaled the Columbia Gorge. It is just a spectacular place. Both Oregon, Central Oregon, the Gorge, the coast, it's just thriving. It's absolutely thriving. So we bought a house, visited for a week, found a place we loved, bought it. No job, no prospects. We were going to do this because we just felt that this was right. So about 3 months after we bought the house, I was thumbing through the want ads looking for a job. I really had this passion for helping people that kind of superseded the passion for woodworking at this point, and I saw an ad for something called an Enterprise Facilitator. And I went, huh. So I looked at the ad and the description, and it talked about finding the intelligence and creativity within a small community. It talked about helping people start businesses as a community. And I looked through this list of qualifications, and I picked up the resume I had written, and I looked at the resume, and it talked about creativity, passion, community. And I held the two things side by side, and I went, son of a gun, this is perfect. This is the job I've always wanted. Well, of course, once you want something, then it seems like it's 1,000 miles away and you'll never get it. So the reason I'm sitting here today in the lovely Deschutes Valley in Maupin, Oregon, is because my interview was held here at the Imperial River Company. I sat down. I've never really interviewed. I've always run my own business, so it was a new thing to me altogether. New job, new world. And I'm ready. I'm prepared. I've got my resume in front of me. I'm sitting in front of these three people. Very nice. There's a dog wagging its foot at my feet. This is Oregon. And the first question they asked me is, tell us about failure in business. And I chuckled. I said, well, geez, that was the first 5 years of my business. Which story do you want to hear? So I left pride at the door and got into this conversation, and it really became a two-way conversation with these people instead of just a one-sided grilling of an interview. At the end of the interview, I basically looked at them and I said, listen, I'm flying out on a plane on Saturday. Here's my cell phone number. Here's my house up on the gorge. I want this job. I've never wanted something like this. I want this job. And I left. And you know, your heart kind of sinks because you think, geez, there's 40 other applicants. There's no way. You know, I'm from out of town. I've never done economic development before. You know, I told them all my dirtiest secrets about business failure. This is it. It was a nice trip, but I'm going to have to go look for something else. Well, I got the call. The first call was, we want to do a background check on you, which I chuckled because usually you're not going to spend money on a background check unless you're willing to hire somebody. So they called me back about a week later and said, we'd like you to come work for us. We think you're perfect for this job. We like the fact that you're not from Oregon. We like the fact that you have no ties in the community, that everyone you'll meet with a blank slate. It's part of the job. So I couldn't believe the excitement. My wife and I were almost jumping out of our seats. It was just a fantastic feeling. It was like fate had drawn us in. We bought this house. We had 2 mortgages with one job. We had, you know, all this work we're doing on the house, prepping to move, and just hoping it's going to happen. And here it is. Not only did it happen, I really got the job of my dreams. I get to drive around Central Oregon, and I'm Johnny Appleseed for small business. I'm connecting people with resources. I'm walking hand in hand with them. I'm the support system that they need to get their business started when they need it.